individual covering super dangerous stuff is Robert David Steele, former of the Marine Corps, actually an operative on the ground with the CIA, with HUMET, running whole operations, an expert on hacking, and again, former CIA case officer, RobertDavidSteele.com. He was coming on about a whole other subject today, but clearly they're making their move, trying to block the restoration of the Republic. They're taking the gloves off, openly saying censor. They just hit us really hard. I forgot. I went in last week and noticed 3 videos totaling more than 20 million views that were removed off our Facebook, deleted. And they didn't tell us why. Used to, they'd tell you. And it was rare. It's everywhere. They're hitting us with a stealth system to test us, to see what we do, and to see if we notice. Now, this all broke this morning. We don't even have articles out on this yet, okay? But Robert David Steele joins us. I want to get his take on where we are and what's currently happening. But people need to understand this is the most serious censorship since the Civil War in this country. Robert David Steele, thank you for joining us. What do you make of all this?
Well, Alex, you're my hero. I think you're one of the best of the alternative media sites. And frankly, I wouldn't be popular anywhere if it hadn't been for you. So thank you.
No, thank you.
I'll give you 2 names, Brendan Sullivan and Daniel Sheehan. I think you should reach out to both of them because this is the single greatest threat to American democracy since Congress abdicated its constitutional role to control the power of the purse and war. This is, without question, an unconstitutional, illegal action. And Alex, I would be thrilled if you got Brendan Sullivan and Danny Sheehan on your side and led a full court
Sure,
press.
and tell folks who those are. There's a lot of people that have been warning about all this, and now it's happening.
Well, Brendan Sullivan is the I'm not the potted plant guy who defended Oliver North.
Yes.
Brendan Sullivan is probably the single greatest lawyer still working in Washington, D.C. Daniel Sheehan is the Ellsberg lawyer. I reviewed his book, The People's Advocate. Danny Sheehan is one of the greatest lawyers on the planet, and he is deeply committed to First Amendment rights. AdRoll is a failing company. They laid off 500 people in December. They're a crap company, okay? They do whatever Google tells them to do. And behind Google is Eric Schmidt.
So this is
behind
Google.
Eric Schmidt is the Clinton Foundation and George Soros, and behind them are the Rothschilds. What is happening right now is that we need a new internet. We need to bury Google, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Steam it is a good start. I personally have never taken ads on my website, in part because I rely on donations and I'm much smaller than you are, Alex. But I think this is war. And Trump, unfortunately, is having all of his people being stripped away from him, and he still doesn't get it. He needs an Electoral Reform Act, and he needs a Trump channel. And you and I have talked about the Trump channel, and you should certainly be a critical part of the Trump channel. But I want to bury Twitter, Facebook, Google, and YouTube, and I want to do it in the next 90 days with a blockchain technology that Donald Trump could roll out with Brad Parscale overnight. Yes, I do. But I'll tell you, Alex, you can't win this one without Brendan Sullivan and Danny Sheehan. Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is a civil war. This is a civil war. And although Jeff Sessions is installed as the Attorney General, he has a Department of Justice that is slow rolling him. They are not going to do their job because they don't want to do their job. This is everybody against Donald Trump except we the people. But Trump is also his own worst enemy. I have written a memorandum for the president that has been read by 1 million people in the last week and a half. Memo for Trump, with 4 being a number. Memo number 4, Trump. You can find it online very easily. You and I have talked about it. Reince Priebus, we call him Judas Priebus, is blocking Trump's mail. Priebus is also Twitter. No, Alex, you're brilliant. I mean, Twitter is a treasonous company right now. Google should be prosecuted for all of the undeclared campaign contributions worth tens of millions of dollars that they gave to Hillary Clinton. The bottom line here is that Trump needs a Trump channel that bypasses not just the mainstream media, but the social media, and an Electoral Reform Act. Those 2 things together, combined with counterintelligence, will allow Trump to survive. The Republican and Democratic parties, the billionaires in New York, some of the energy guys in Texas, are all against Trump. Trump is right where John F. Kennedy was just before he got assassinated.
And they're openly calling for his death in the news, and the Secret Service is doing nothing. They're actually saying, let's organize, let's kill him, time to murder him, time to overthrow him, time for a coup, and nothing's being done because I guess Trump doesn't want to look weak or like an authoritarian. Let me play you this clip. We've got a clip here. Representative, we should pass a resolution condemning President Trump's attacks on the media and trying to basically restrict it. Here's Jerry Nadler.
He should be. Of course. I mean, as you know, he has been much more vocal in denouncing the media. He has been quite aggressive in his feelings about the media. He's called the press the enemy of the American people. Is Congress doing anything about this?
Well, I don't know what Congress can do about that. We should condemn it. We should maybe pass a resolution condemning the president for saying things like that. The press is not the enemy of the people. The two institutions that we depend on to maintain a democratic form of government, to maintain protection against tyranny from the executive or anyone else, are a free press and an independent judiciary. And he's attacking both of them. And to say that you can't believe, to delegitimize the press, to say that you can't believe anything there that he doesn't say, that doesn't agree with him, is demagogic in the extreme, and it's very destructive. And the phrase, enemy of the people, that has a history. The only people that I know of who've used that phrase, he's an enemy of the people, were Stalin and the people who succeeded Stalin in the Soviet bloc. Counter-revolutionaries, enemies of the people, were prosecuted as enemies of the people. The press is not an enemy of the people. Nobody's an enemy of the people because they disagree with me or you about what we ought to be doing. We're all presumably working for the benefit of the people as we see it. We may be wrong. Well, I may disagree with you. What's the benefit of the people? But that's what democracy is.
They call Trump the enemy and Hitler and say kill him all over the news. And then he says the corporate media is working against tax cuts and regulations being cut on small businesses and getting the Federal Reserve to actually loan to small banks.
Let me jump in here. I'm a son of New York. Jerry Nadler is an idiot. He's also a Mossad agent. I'm quite sure someone has him on videotape doing evil things. That man is under control. I am the top intelligence professional for the 21st century, with 8 books, 2 with forwards by senators, and I will tell you my independent evaluation of the media is a D-. Crap News Network and the freaked out X-holes, as I call them.
And there's no doubt the people that own the corporate media are the enemy. They're the globalists. They're the...
Absolutely. Look, Donald Trump is absolutely right with his accusations, and he is totally incompetent at doing something about it. Trump has
listen, here's the deal. He's used to business where you just bring in the top people and move forward with, and he's just trying to cut taxes. He even says, what's wrong with me just cutting taxes and not shutting down our coal plants when we have clean burning coal? Why isn't everybody for this? He doesn't get how evil they are.
Well, what really troubles me is that Congress, including John McCain, I mean, when somebody talks about a free press in the United States...
Sorry, McCain said that Trump is a dictator.
McCain is senile, okay? McCain sang like a bird in prison camp. They called him Songbird. That was his nickname. Wayne Madsen has done an excellent piece on how John McCain and Lindsey Graham, who is a world-class gay, are owned by the CIA. They do what the CIA tells them to do. They are being blackmailed, okay? What Trump hasn't figured out is how to get someone like me and Brad Parscale and a few others together, Cynthia McKinney, Dennis Kucinich. My memo for Trump has 3 things he has. Yes, Alex. I mean, this is like they say in New York, we got to go to the mattresses here. But the problem is you are our natural leader, and I really respect everything you have done for all of us. But on this one, I think you really need to think very deeply about reaching out to Brendan Sullivan and Danny Sheehan.
No, listen, I know.
You're right where WikiLeaks was when PayPal cut them off without any legal due process whatsoever.
Exactly.
Okay? That's what's happening to you now. Now, there's a 3-part...
And if I don't fight back, it's going to be everything next. Exactly.
There's 3 ways you fight back. Way number 1 is you get Brendan Sullivan and Danny Sheehan and you create the legal dream team. You go O.J. Simpson on steroids and you make these people hurt. You get judgments against them in every state that cuts them off.
No, I agree.
I'm going to introduce you by email to Brendan Sullivan and Danny Sheehan. I think you need to come to Washington and sit down with Sullivan. I'd be glad to sit down with you. I think we need to literally cut these people off at the kneecaps with the best lawyers that money can buy.
I hear you, but you hear my big rant. What do we do in this epic moment in history? I mean, if I got into everything...
Alex, I just told you, you need to come to Washington and sit down with Brendan Sullivan, period. That's it. Look, I would like to put a lien on Eric Schmidt's house and his jet and his helicopter, okay? This is as big a fight as you're ever going to have in your lifetime. And personally, I think President Trump should meet with you, and Steve Bannon should meet with you, and we should have a discussion. But the problem is you have to approach it holistically. You can't treat this as an isolated legal incident. Put bluntly, you're not going to win your lawsuit unless we also have an Electoral Reform Act and free the members from the bribery and the blackmail that Google and Facebook and Twitter and Wall Street are all imposing on the members. Our House of Representatives and our senators are bought and paid for. And if Trump doesn't address that, you're not going to win this in the courts.
Continue breaking this down.
Alex, I love you. I think you and the Hartman Report, Hagman and Hagman, and Reality, and David Seidman, and Greg Hunter with USA Watchdog, you guys are the lifeblood of the alternative media. And the alternative media exists because the mass media is corrupt to the bone. Anybody that says we have a free press in the United States of America is either an idiot or a criminal, okay? And that certainly includes James Baker and all these other elites that are lying to us on CNN and on Fox News. Fox News, for me, is the greatest disgrace. Fox News, with the exception of Maria and Judge Napolitano, has completely betrayed the public trust. So you, in this case, may be a gift from heaven. Alex Jones is the poster child, the test case, the Supreme Court case. So I support you. And I
well,
really,
and it does show. Well, I thank you for the support. We're all in this together. But let me ask you this. What does it signify? Because you're right. It's a very bold move to say, after a 2+ year relationship, you're banned because you're political on your website, so you can't
they're testing the waters, Alex, and they don't think that you know Brendan Sullivan, and they don't think Brendan Sullivan is going to take this case. I'm betting he will. I'm betting Brendan Sullivan plus Danny Sheehan plus Alex Jones is the biggest legal steamroller you ever saw. Go for it, Alex.
Well, I have to sue. I mean,
Well, you have to sue, but you have to sue with the best. You can't sue with any lawyer out of San Antonio.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Well, I've got a great litigation lawyer. He's listed in Texas Monthly as the best in the state. But he would agree that it needs to be a media lawyer. But
I will send you Sullivan and Sheehan's email when we get off.
I know it has to be done. I mean, because here's the deal: they just dehumanize us when we dominate, and we're having such a big effect, and we have Congress people and presidents on, and we're covering real news. They should sue me for where I've lied. They should
call the inconvenient truth.
I hear you. Well, let me ask you this question then: geopolitically, looking at the players, how would you say things are going for the Republican establishment, the Democrat establishment, and other globalists? Because all over the place, nationalists are surging. And as somebody that actually fought radical Islam, but also saw how it's stirred up by the West, what's the paradigm that, the Rosetta Stone, the code key, the decoder to understand what's really going on, destabilizing the Middle East and then flooding Europe?
Let me make clear that ISIS was created by Saudi Arabia and Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, period. ISIS was created by Saudi Arabia, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and of course the CIA under John Brennan, who is the highest paid Saudi Arabian agent in the United States of America. Brennan works for Saudi Arabia. He doesn't work for the United States of America. He is a dyed-in-the-wool member of the deep state. He has been doing impeachable treasonous acts, lying to the public about the Russians hacking the election. I am among those who fought back. Right now, the establishment is winning because Donald Trump doesn't have his act together. Trump is not doing holistic thinking. He has no bench. He really needs to sit down and read the memo.
How Kafka-esque is it that they're banning sites and banning people advertising and calling for people to be kicked off the web, but then they won't even say specifically what it is you've done, and you never face anybody in court?
Why should you expect anything less? This is a fascist country when it comes to the media and the banks. Donald Trump was elected by accident. I've written Donald Trump, the accidental president under Sage. The problem right now is that the establishment, which assuredly includes the Republican Party, has got Donald Trump surrounded. Donald Trump is in enemy hands. It is absolutely essential that Trump break free. He made a huge mistake with McMaster. McMaster was a never Trumper. McMaster swore loyalty to Hillary Clinton. And Reince Priebus did not properly brief Donald Trump, and Donald Trump didn't do his own homework. McMaster should not be the national security advisor. We don't need a national security advisor. All of our enemies are right here at home. What Trump should be doing is thinking about national strategy focused on restoring integrity to the electoral process and to the government. Donald Trump can do
Let's
that,
talk about
but not
this.
the way he's going.
Let's talk about the fact that I have the exclusive up on Infowars.com. Russian bank docs show how Putin laundered millions to Hillary and Podesta, not just his brother, but reportedly Podesta himself. That's Dr. Jerome Corsi. And then, of course, in the article, we point out that we were meeting with the former vice head of the Armed Services Committee and the Homeland Security head, and that he was going to be giving us more information, Kurt Weldon. Then we ended up having him on the show today. And it's so huge, I keep going back to this, the fact that Hillary and the Chinese and all such huge connections, and then really no connections with Trump. Well, then how did Priebus get Trump running scared, getting rid of Flynn, and then Trump pretty much admitted that later. He didn't even know why Flynn's gone. He just kind of gave, the vice president and everybody what they wanted. So here's Trump being nice, just trying to cut taxes and help America. But already he thinks he's going to be nice to the establishment, bring in their guys, and they're already henpecking the president.
Alex, Donald Trump desperately needs our help, and I don't know what else I can do. I mean, if I can't get Donald Trump to, first off, he needs to leave the White House. He needs to understand that the Oval Office is bugged, that there is no privacy in the White House. He has every word he utters in the White House has been recorded and passed on.
He knows he's under surveillance.
He is under surveillance. In fact, I think there's a video camera above his desk. Trump really needs to get out of the White House. He needs to go to a secure, undisclosed location, and he needs to have a come to Jesus meeting with Cynthia McKinney, Dennis Kucinich, and myself.
Well, I know this. I know this. If he came out and told the American people there's been a globalist coup over the country, I don't care if you're left or right, they take your money, they set up one-sided deals. Come on, get out of this hate. I politically had to be right-wing to get into office, but I'm really just a populist, which he said in his inaugural address. Please understand, the elite you claim you hate is against me. I really want to try to help you. And that's my big concern with the economy, is that it's so close to imploding already. It may be too little too late, Ron Paul thinks.
Well, I love Ron Paul. His book on foreign policy of freedom, commerce, and peace is one of the most brilliant collection of speeches I've ever read. I loved Ron Paul. And Ron Paul and Dennis Kucinich get along. And thank you for reminding me. Ron Paul should be in that meeting also.
Well, I've tried to get the two together.
But Alex, here's one really important point. For Donald Trump to win over the American public, he has to show them my graphic on the independent political landscape that shows that the two-party tyranny is shutting out 70% of the public.
That's right. If he reaches out to them, he wins.
Yes, but he has to reach out to them first before he takes the baseball bat to the establishment. I mean, there's a real sequence here. I am a strategic thinker.
No, let's talk about that sequence in the final segment with you straight ahead.
Alex, these guys can be sued under the racketeering charges.
That's what I said earlier, because they're colluding with other big groups,
Yes.
censor us, to shut up our speech. They label us subhuman,
Alex,
like the Nazis did. Then they come shut us down. They're wide open.
You need to come to Washington. You need to sit down with Brendan Sullivan and Steve Bannon, and you need to do this week before your Sunday show. The other thing that occurred to me is, where do we donate? Like, I mean, if I don't want to buy something, where can I donate money to Alex
That's
Jones?
right. Let's create a PayPal link or credit card link on every page to pull down, like when you go to someplace, they say, oh, donate to this or that, add 10% or add $1. Let's put that on everything. People want to donate to the Free Speech Defense Fund. Hell, I already launched an organization, which I haven't even announced yet, the CDFS, Coalition to Defend Free Speech.com. I mean, I had them set this up months ago because I knew this was coming, my friend. Come back in 70 seconds. Come back in 70 seconds. Go ahead.
You need to sue these people for $25 million to $100 million, period. And you need to do it this week.
Well, they're trying to bankrupt us. That's the thing, is they say in the news they want to ban everybody to shut us up. I mean, hell, what's next? Arrest us once we don't have a voice?
Yeah, but the good news is if every one of your listeners donated $10, you can cover that $3 million in a week.
Exactly, but they need to be sued to protect everybody else because they're picking me as a precedent. This is a bold, it was national news when just Kellogg pulled their money from this same group and other groups just from Breitbart. I mean, this is 50 times bigger.
You know, I've obviously thought about this a lot, Alex, and I hate to keep harping on this, but I used to be about intelligence reform. And then I realized when Steele said that he spent $75 million bribing congressmen and couldn't get any action on climate reform, that's when I realized that electoral reform is root. Unless we, the people, and I mean all of us, left, right, center, and the 47% that did not vote. That 47% is Donald Trump's ace in the hole. He can mobilize that 47% with what he does so well if he goes on the road with Cynthia McKinney and Ron Paul, Dennis Kucinich, and myself and a few others. So, Alex, this is about taking the country back at the grassroots level, but you have to give them something to want. And that's the Electoral Reform Act. So I think Steve Bannon needs to come out and meet you and me outside the White House. The White House is bugged. There is no privacy in the White House. Bannon needs to come out and meet some patriots and have a game plan. And I've written it out on my memo for Trump.
No, I understand that. Everybody wants to get the message out to the president, and I understand, but it's really our audience that ends up going to the rallies, talking to the president. It's why it's good for him to get out, see the crowds, talk to them, interface with them, because, again, Trump, none of us are perfect, but Trump really does want to empower the people. The best website for folks to visit, I guess, with yours is robertdavidsteele.com or phibetaiota.net. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, Alex, you're a hero. I really support you. And I please, for goodness sakes, make this a $100 million lawsuit. You owe this to the country.
No, we have to. And thank you. God bless.